Let me introduce to you Brandon Pierce from Tennessee Tech, and he's here to talk about Pure Legacy.
Hello, my name is Brandon Pierce, and I'm the founder and CEO of Pure Legacy. Today, I'll be showing you our Future Innovators business branch. Now, the Future Innovators is a heartfelt mission for me. My younger brother and I used to take apart anything that no longer worked, and we used to build our own inventions. Now, after issues in college and needing to switch majors, I began to wonder, what was I meant to do? And around that time, I had seen a TED Talk of someone who was only a year older than me. Roughly, I was about the age of 21 at the time, and he had built a company off of one invention. Now, the sad part and the truth of that pain was my grandmother still had the drawing I had made when I was 8 years old for the same idea of something that would collect plastic in the ocean. Now, I say this to say, had my school had different clubs, had I had the guidance and STEM tutoring my company seeks to provide, I may have not faced some of the difficulties in my life. This is why Future Innovators provides STEM tutoring to engage, educate, and advance the skill sets of tomorrow's future innovators. Now, just to explain the style of STEM tutoring we provide, because STEM tutoring is more than math and science. STEM tutoring is developing skill sets for innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking skills. On the left is an example of a mechanical STEM project, which is building mechanical projects that focus on combining small parts to create a large multifunction project. DIY STEM is what Future Innovators has incorporated into our learning, and as you see in the middle picture, that DIY STEM project is using cans, popsicle sticks, a battery, an RC motor, and propellers to build a small RC drone. Electronic STEM is combining mechanical projects with coding to use a phone to control it. Now, a little about myself. I'm a business and environmental sustainability major at Tennessee Tech, and once I receive my bachelor's, I will be going back for a second bachelor's in engineer education. I grew up in a different home environment than most students. My dad dropped out of high school to help run his parents' farm and help support them after his 3 older brothers moved out, and he has dyslexia, and in school, teachers just labeled him slow. However, he is a talented mechanic who can rebuild any vehicle, but jobs are amazed at his skill sets, only to overlook him due to not having a diploma. My mom was on her own at 15, working 2 jobs to pay for her own place and save up to get her youngest brother out of a boys' home. She graduated a year after she should have, all because her principal worked with her and understood her circumstances. Now, I come from a really low-income family. My parents scraped by making a combined total of $50,000 or less while I was growing up, and my mom works 80-plus hours a week at a mentally and physically challenged center for adults. And my father works in a factory while doing odd jobs on the side. Now, throughout college, I have worked 2 jobs to support myself financially ever since I moved out at the age of 18. And after my father's work shut down my sophomore year of college, I lost a $3,000 scholarship, followed by my junior year losing 2 more scholarships totaling $4,000 due to a university FAFSA filing error, and nothing could be fixed. This forced me to go from a full-time student to hardly being able to afford 2 classes a semester out of pocket and in extending my student loans, which prolonged my graduation by 2 years and caused difficulties for me financially. Now, these difficulties were right after my Papa Hardin passed away, and I lost my best friend and struggled to find hope, but I never gave up. My parents' resilience to provide me and my younger brother a better life than what they had motivated me to achieve academic excellence. I'd done this more for them than myself, to show them no matter their past, they had guided me to be successful. I graduated as a Tennessee Scholar, which required extensive academic success by achieving Tennessee State honors and Tennessee State distinctions and having over 80-plus hours of volunteer service. I also graduated with 18 dual enrollment credit hours, and later on, I received a certification from the state of Tennessee for my academic achievements. Later on into college, I received my associate's degree and graduated cum laude with a 3.6 GPA by the luck of a university to community college transfer program. And in my jobs throughout college, I have been the top 5 sales agent in any position, and this will provide me the necessary skills to advance my company. Now, for our market discovery, by talking to parents, school teachers, researching through the Tennessee Department of Education, and researching tutoring centers, we have learned about some serious issues for STEM education. For parents, private STEM tutoring is extremely costly, and they don't have time to drive back and forth to centers. Now, for our target markets, these centers don't provide the type of STEM tutoring we do, and they are too far away from these Royal Appalachian areas. And the public schools, as you will see shortly in our industry outlook, have a problem with low funding to advance STEM education, but also professional development for STEM teachers is insufficient. Royal schools are neglected, and like my hometown, they sometimes have to share equipment and get a short amount of time to use it before it goes to the next school. Even a local university left them out for over 80% of their research for issues with STEM education. And the reason for the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network outreach is because the state seeks to incorporate more university to school partnerships and develop more private partnerships by using the Tennessee STEM classroom grants to provide advancement in STEM education and professional development for current and future STEM teachers. Now, with the Drive for 55 and the desire for Tennessee STEM Innovation Network to provide private partnerships, future innovators can bridge the gap between community, organizations, and STEM education, as well as the gap between Royal Appalachian schools and universities. This is because we hire college students to tutor young students in mechanical, computer, and robotic STEM education by fitting the desire of what projects the student wants to learn. This benefits college students by providing meaningful career experience while allowing both college students a flexible schedule and parents affordable in-home tutoring to suit their time constraints. By hiring college students as tutors, we help fix the problem for the amount of STEM education providers in Royal areas. We will expand past private tutoring with our 423 project, and the success will help us create a nonprofit side of our company to provide solutions for free school and local business STEM events, growth of STEM clubs, and academic competitions. Now, looking into the industry, $578 million was invested into STEM education by the U.S. Department of Education. The Tennessee Department of Education invested $700,000 into 89 schools. However, Tennessee has over 1,700 public schools. Now, if you look at the graph titled Tennessee STEM Demographics in our written report, you can see more statistics for the issues like only 37% of Tennessee students meet ACT benchmark requirements for math and science, but it also shows promising statistics like 63% of middle school girls feel empowered by STEM learning. That graph and additional statistics on the slide show evidence that the current domestic supply of STEM workers and future graduates will not meet the nation's workforce needed without serious adjustments. And this proves the opportunity present in Tennessee for my company to be successful because it's a personnel shortage, not a skill set shortage. But let's take a deeper dive into the opportunity for success that my company can achieve. STEM is the 5th fastest growing occupation in the South, and Tennessee will see an 18% job growth in STEM occupations. And this is why the state has a goal to become one of the top 25 states for STEM education, in which provides a value proposition behind our affordable STEM tutoring and our nonprofit after-school programs for solutions we seek to provide. Now, Tennessee has 95 counties with over roughly 1 million students ages 1 to 14. We included the ages of 1 to 4 to show how over time we will have a constant market access growth. Our focus for the next 2 years will be on the 2 counties that you see in the written report and to grow to 5% of the total available market in Tennessee, in which shows a potential of roughly $12 million in revenue for our STEM tutoring services, and with a potential of $50 million in revenue if we gain access to 20% of the total available market in Tennessee. At this scale of growth for even 5% statewide, we will undergo serious business development. However, our main priority for the next 2 years will be focused on the 2 counties, which is listed in the written report for our financial focus. But if you look at our competitor comparison in Tennessee, we are the only company that provides STEM tutoring in Royal Appalachian areas. We are more affordable than Wisent, which is a website that tutors showcase their service for STEM tutoring, but they do not have STEM tutors that provide service in Royal areas. And the largest company, Solvin Learning in Tennessee, does not provide the type of STEM tutoring that we do in any of their locations, and their college prep services are too expensive. And we are the only company who seeks to host school events and academic competitions. Now, we have a lot to be proud of as a young company. In September 2019, we launched Pure Legacy after receiving the Will Klaus Entrepreneur Award and 11 Forbes 30 Under 30 nominations. Then in August 2020, we completed the Launch Tennessee Student Business Mentorship Program, and the guidance from the panel competitions provided a better understanding for how we needed to take our company to the next level after our initial focus did not work out like we thought it would for Pure Legacy. Now, we transitioned our focus towards the Future Innovators branch after this difficult time. And in November, we completed our first STEM tutoring project as our initial assessment research. Then our strides and accomplishments and the 2 news articles led to our first TV interview with Daytime Tri-Cities on January 28th. And as of yesterday, we received an invite from Tennessee STEM Innovation Network for an introduction meeting that resulted from emails and a voicemail I left earlier this week inquiring about potential partnerships for the 4 STEM events we will be planning for local businesses in my hometown who have reached out after the TV interview. Now, going forward to gain market entry for our tutoring and college prep services, plus our plans to partner into local school systems with universities, we plan to do the following. For the rest of February through March, we plan on finding 5 new students to provide free STEM tutoring to and hiring more interns. That way we can grow our research for our one-on-one tutoring in various types of STEM projects mentioned earlier, in which I will personally tutor 2 kids for the parents I've connected with in Knoxville. And we will seek out guidance from education professors and the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network for the right strategies and methods for our tutoring services and future STEM events. In April, we will launch a GoFundMe campaign and use the traction provided by our plans for a local change roundup at local businesses to fund academic competitions and our future STEM events. In May, we will look to expand into the other county illustrated in our written report under market opportunities, which is the county for Tennessee Tech University. Then in June through July, we will submit grant applications with letters of intent we receive from businesses, universities, and state organizations to be used for funding the development of our first after-school program for STEM education in Carter County. Now, we will achieve our goals because we have a team motivated to see our vision through and see future innovators just like I do, as something they wish they could have been a part of before college. And my co-founder is my cousin Tiffany, who graduated with a bachelor's in early childhood development. And we also have other interns like Jordan, who you've seen in the second slide, providing STEM tutoring, and he's an international engineer student from Jamaica. Now, we have sought out guidance as well from the Launch Tennessee Student Business Mentorship Program, which led to connecting with Sean Glinter, who is a successful serial entrepreneur, and outside his own company, he's also on the board of Life Science TN and BioTN. And we have also received guidance since 2019 with 2 business professors who had their own success with companies they built and sold, and Dr. Josephine McQuell, who is our education advisor and has an extensive list of education, university, and organization accomplishments. Now, thank you for your time and this wonderful opportunity to present. I am Brandon Pierce, founder and CEO of Pure Legacy, and I invite you to take this journey with us for developing tomorrow's future innovators, so more kids can smile like this one when they complete projects.
Great job, Brandon. Thank you. That was a great story, and really love hearing what you're doing.
Thank
so
you.
We'll take that opportunity, kick it over to the judges for questions.
Brandon, can you explain a little bit about kind of the economic model of, it sounds like there's tutors, there's events. Are you charging a portion of the fee, or how are you kind of doing that?
So for the private tutoring, we charge $30 an hour with a goal of about a 3-hour session for each session. We pay our college interns $10 an hour. We're also taking in consideration that as we grow, we will have to find compensation plans for gas. Most people do travel 30 minutes to an hour for, a job typically, but these are going to be college students driving a decent distance. So we're looking into better financial models as we grow. For the STEM events, one of the businesses that has reached out to us does want us to charge $5 while we use the upper floor of their coffee shop, so that way we can gain traction and revenue for future events. Later on into like school events, with a school in Cookeville that we connected with, we're going to do free events, so that way we can go into individual classrooms, which works out perfect for COVID, and do different types of STEM modeling. We will adjust as we grow, but right now we're just really focused on getting the right traction moving forward.
Thank you.
So when you went through that kind of business transition after your experience with Launch Tennessee, or sort of alongside with it, can you kind of walk me through what that sort of just felt like for you as the entrepreneur, and then sort of how you dealt with the process of letting go of a past model and implementing a new one?
Yeah, so in 2018, I started the idea of this technology that's overseas that is meant to educate people on the ability for different types of renewable energy. It was to kind of start out our company with getting that inventions in, local towns, local schools, and universities. And I spent all of 2019, I met with 4 sustainability directors. I basically had 4 notebooks, making sure I understood the research, just for when I transferred to Tennessee Tech, for them to want to go forward with the project. They said, set up a meeting with the company and so you can learn more. Then I met with a financial director who was different than the one we first met with. And they had said, basically, they had to refund 3 different companies the money because the previous financial director was misrepresenting the potential of returns on revenue for energy production. And I had a phone call with Sean afterwards, and it was devastating. Like, he told me, he said, this is the moment to where you got to learn as an entrepreneur. Do you just throw away, or do you try and figure out where to go from here? Now, back in earlier the year, when COVID first hit in March, I had planned on entering Future Innovators into a business competition just to kind of build up while we were focusing on the main thing. So luckily, I had been thinking ahead for the next steps after that technology. And even though it was devastating of all the work, it really showed me that the first initial thought of my business was more financial focused. With this, it was the heartfelt focus of something that I really wish I would have had. And so it hurt, but now it's just made it more to where that one child that we've tutored is worth more than anything.
Brandon, do you find that trying to reach into these rural areas, that even your affordable prices are a reach for some people? And are you looking for ways to have other people help fund that for them that still allows you to make money?
Yeah, coming from that low income background, I understand the difficulties. You know, some parents may have difficulties to where their home environment isn't the best to go into, or they might be a single parent who, you know, only makes 10 an hour. And so $30 an hour, you know, is quite a bit. So just kind of talking with different interns and, you know, looking into different models, we've also looked into the potential of people in the community funding a, you know, sponsor me type thing for a child that is really wanting the STEM education. But that's also why we wanted to look into the after school programs, you know, potentially doing with like Boys and Girls Club, so that those kids that may not be able to afford that or might not have the best home environment still has that opportunity. And as we grow, we can see of different ways for having sponsorships for kids to get private tutoring in which their parents may not be able to afford it.
Okay, thank you.
Brandon, two quick questions. First, you bring a unique perspective to an important problem, so I thank you for that. I can appreciate the challenges of trying to deliver this service in a rural area, and I think sort of piggybacking on what Ashlyn was asking, scaling your services into online delivery, that seems a logical approach, but there is also rural connectivity problems. What options do you see to scale low cost this business into low income areas? I'm curious, number one. Question number two is I did see on your deck STEM kits, and is that another revenue stream?
So if I'm trying to remember here, so the first one for trying to scale, like Ashley mentioned, online for STEM mechanics, so like building the video as you've seen would not really be the best thing, you know, through Zoom, because it's really a hands-on thing. Now, computer style STEM learning is something that can be done online. We've actually have a intern that has made a PC gaming system to where kids can play to learn programming as something that could potentially turn into an additional revenue model. With Tennessee STEM Innovation Network wanting to partner universities into schools, in addition to after school programs in, you know, local elementaries, there's the chance of doing that at universities and kind of going into different programs. But that's the reason we looked into those businesses. So that way we can try and create an access to where there's different options for parents and students to get involved. Additional revenues, for example, you know, that computer system, you know, we look to potentially even sell like our own DIY made STEM projects just for people that may want to do it for fun. I'm very creative with different things. And when COVID was really causing an issue to finding more students, I actually took a bunch of plants. I have a serious plant hobby. I went downtown Knoxville and started selling plants to be able to purchase STEM kits, because I'm working 2 jobs to pay for my stuff financially. And I had to think outside the box. But behind it, the message to selling those plants was, hey, you know, kids can not only use everyday items at home to build these STEM kits, you can also show them how to make, you know, flower pots out of bottles that have draining systems. And I've probably got a little bit lost on the question, but we have a lot of different plans, not to kind of go into any areas, to have the right plans for parents that can afford it, but also have additional revenue streams and options to help us be able to obtain profit margins and not go under.
Thanks, Brandon.